Okay, this is video number 19. We're going to be getting into trusts. Boy, this one might be a bit of a thick one. Let's, just so you know, this is, I don't know everything there is to know about trusts, so just a little forewarning. I'm going to tell you what I can about it, and then you might have to kind of go off on your own a little bit. So let's get started. Trusts are a way to practice commerce, but stay in common law. Okay, pure contract trusts, especially ones structured as a 508c1a faith-based organization, allow you to operate entirely out of the jurisdiction of statutory law. Now, let's go into a little something. We have a maxim of law, and the maxim of law is whatever creates something. Creation. Such shitty fucking creation. I don't know why, but whatever. That word is creation. Creation equals ownership. Well, let's see here. Oh, Jesus. Ownership and control. Creation equals ownership and control, okay? So what's happened is that you have government, which is incorporated, right? Now, they've created on purpose to try and fool people a bunch of different types of trusts, right? Let me see if I can quickly look this up. Types of trust. Testamentary trust, charitable trust, special needs trust. Anyways, blah, 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 blah. None of them are really all that useful because they're created by government. Blah, blah, blah. These are called public and, yeah. Now you have what kind of trust? There's only one kind of trust really created that comes straight from the Bible, and it comes straight from trust law, and it wasn't created by the government. And I believe, so the main term is it's called a pure contract trust. Pure contract trust. Pure contract trust, right? And I believe another word for it is, let me just check Black's Law here. I believe there's another word for it. An express trust. Let me just see here. Incorporations, sole proprietorships, LLCs, all these things that you normally hear about, they're all in the public sector. So what you're trying to do with the trust is you're trying to go into the private sector. So let's just clear that up real quick before we get into the type of trust. We'll come back to the express trust. So public sector organizations are owned, controlled, and managed by the government or other state-run bodies. Owned, controlled, and managed. Okay? That's your employment development department. That's your tax people. That's your this. That's your this. That's your that. So when you have a public company, like an incorporated company, a C Corp, an S Corp, an LLC, a sole proprietorship, those are all public companies. Public companies are owned, controlled, and managed by the government or other state-run bodies. That's how you get into their statutes, right? You have to follow their rules and their laws, and if you don't, they charge you. Now, private sector organizations are owned, controlled, and managed by individuals, groups, or business entities. Now, what does that mean? That means you're not in the jurisdiction of their taxes or their rules or their statutes at all. Now, sounds pretty sweet, right? How do you go private? There's two main ways you can go private, right? Number one is by opening what's called a private membership association, a PMA. Is men and women. Look at that. Men and women. How lovely. Men and women collectively asserting and standing upon their rights to determine what devices, products, procedures, or services will be used by them to maintain the health of their own body, mind, or spirit. A private memberships club is an association dedicated to a particular interest or activity. Membership is voluntary, and admission to a club, if you are not a founder, is often based on a set of established criteria. Okay. There's different companies that can help you put together a PMA. It looks like pretty cool. I think David Strait actually works with one. I forget the name of it. They actually help people put together PMAs. So a PMA is basically like, you give me $1 or 50 cents or something like that, and like now you're a member. And a PMA is like its own private world. You are the government. You are the employment development department. You are the tax department. Like whatever you say, whatever the board of directors or whatever, I don't really know if it's called that. It's called whatever the fuck you want to call it. The private membership organization is your own little world. So you can open a PMA to do absolutely anything. And as far as I know, you could even open like a dental office or something like that, and you wouldn't even need a license to practice. Obviously, the people who are signing up would have to sign a membership agreement, and they would have to pay membership fees. Like, for example, I run dental offices, right? So let's say you wanted to open up a private membership association for dental offices. What you would do is you would say, like most people need to get their teeth cleaned every 6 months. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, right? So a normal teeth clean, let's say it's like $120 or something. I'm just throwing a number out there. You could say, it's $240 a year for membership, and then that includes 2 teeth cleanings per year. So they would sign a document that states those provisions, and then they would become members of a private membership association, which is a dental office. Now, when you do that, you're pulling yourself completely and entirely out of statutes completely. That includes needing a license. That includes rules and laws as to how the dental office needs to be set up. That includes everything under the sun, moon, and stars. Now, there are probably a lot of patients out there who that might scare them, the fact that it's completely unregulated. That's up to you. It's up to you. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you what's available and what you can do. So this whole idea of like, oh, you need a license to practice this or a license to do this or a license to do that. No, you don't. You don't need any of that. Again, licenses are given to slaves. Licenses are given to trusts. A human being does not need a license for any reason. Nothing. So do keep in mind, you can open up a private membership. Now, do I know anything about private membership associations? Not really. Have I ever opened one? No. Have I ever been associated with anyone who has opened one? No. But actually, I did go to a shooting range recently that's a PMA. And that was pretty cool. It really was like its own world. I mean, completely. PMAs are really dope. If you want to learn more about those, go ahead and look it up. You can look it up all through here. Super awesome, super powerful. It pulls you out of everything. You are completely privatized. You are completely non-public, and you are the government of what you're doing. So if you and your buddy are the main people who are the founders of a PMA, you and your buddy are now the president and the Secretary of State and the tax gods and the this and the that and the license hold, whatever you guys want to create in your own little world, that is what becomes the reality of the people who are contracted in as private members of your private membership association. So that's option number one. Pretty cool. I'll probably have one of these pretty soon. I do not have one of these at this moment. I do want to learn more about these, and I will be getting into this and opening one of these for myself at some point in time. Now, number two is like I was talking about before, the common law pure contract trust, otherwise I think known as an express trust. But I'm just checking that out just to make sure. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get you out of the public into the private. Okay? And there's pros and cons to both sides. I'm not telling you what to do. Don't give a fuck. Like I said, you can go get yourself a nice, real ripe, nice and green, knobby fucking 7-inch cucumber. Jam that fucking thing right up your ass. I could give a fuck less. This is just to tell you what's available, because you know what? You don't know what's available. How can you decide and live your life and make decisions for yourself and your loved ones and your family if you don't even know what the fucking choices are? It's no different than when you go into a court of law and they say, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty? First off, you shouldn't be pleading. And second off, there's other choices besides guilty and not guilty. You're just never told that. Same thing with a lot of the forms. Oh, are you a U.S. citizen? Yes or no? Well, what other choices do I have? You aren't told. So the whole point of this course is to tell you your options, not to tell you what to do. I could give a fuck less, truly. Express trust. EXP. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Dun, 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 dun. Baby, you and me now. That's a good ass song. Reminds me of Clerks 2, the movie, which is like literally one of the greatest movies ever. If you've never seen Clerks 2, oh my god. Clerks 3 is coming out. I am so fucking excited about Clerks 3, dude. Oh my god. Kevin Smith is a fucking genius. Okay. Express. Ooh. Are we getting close? Are we getting close? No, we're not. Okay. Let me see. Trust. We can look up the definition of trust. Why the fuck not? I don't think I ever have. Just because it's like you read about it all day long and it's like, okay, it's one of those things. But that's me violating not my own rules. That's me violating God's rules, which is don't ever assume the definitions of words. So, yeah. Let's do it. Let's see what we got. What do we got here? Constructive trust. Wait. Trust, in general. A right of property, real or personal, held by one party for the benefit of another. Yeah, that's what we drew that at the beginning of the course. A confidence reposed in one person who is termed trustee for the benefit of another who is called the cestui trust, respecting property which is held by the trustee for the benefit of the cestui trust. Any arrangement whereby property is transferred with intention that it be administered by a trustee for another's benefit. Okay, good. A fiduciary relation with respect to property, subjecting person by whom the property is held to equitable duties to deal with the property for the benefit of another person, which arises as the result of a manifestation of an intention to create it. Kind of complicated. A trust can be created for any purpose which is not illegal and which is not against public policy. Essential elements of trust are designated beneficiary and trustee. Yeah, of course. Okay. Active trust. Sestike trust. The person for whose benefit a trust is created or who is to enjoy the income or the avails of it. Charitable trust. Complete voluntary trust. Constructive trust. Contingent trust, direct trust. There's a lot of these. I do not know all of these. If you would like to study all of these because you're interested in learning more about trust law, and every minute you spend in the area of trust law is a minute very well spent. I probably will study these at some point. I'm just so excited about everything, and I'm just kind of going down the rabbit hole. At some point in time, it'll come to an end at some point in time, or I'll start to kind of dry up in terms of all the things that I'm realizing, and I'll probably come back and start from the beginning, which is trust law, and I'll probably study all of these in great detail in the very near future. Express trust. A trust created or declared in express terms and usually in writing, as distinguished from one inferred by the law from the conduct or dealings of the parties. Yeah. So that would be an express trust or a pure contract trust, or however you want to say it, right? So a 508c1a A 508c1a means that the financial records and the board meeting minutes are not subject to public scrutiny. It means fully privatized. Unlike the 501c3, that's the one that you normally think of when you hear of a church or a nonprofit organization. That is required to file their records with the IRS for the purpose of public scrutiny. Why anyone would file a 501c3 is beyond me. A 508c1a is the private version of that, right? So a 508c1a is basically a fully privatized trust. Okay? It's called a faith-based organization. Now, you think to yourself, I don't want to open a church. Okay. A 508c1a, when you start getting into religion, it's above and beyond what the governments have a jurisdiction over, especially a government that's a fucking incorporated entity. They don't have hardly, I mean, when you really wake up, and you're waking up to all this now, they don't have jurisdiction over anything. But religion and that kind of thing is really where they start to lose their jurisdiction, right? Big time. So faith cannot be defined or clarified or scrutinized by the government or anybody, right? So a faith-based organization can be literally anything your fucked up, over-sexualized mind can possibly dream up. The government cannot tell you or define faith for you. If you sell tacos on the side of the road and you love tacos because it reminds you of a vagina and you worship the women or their bodies, that is your faith, and the government cannot tell you otherwise. Pure contract trusts are not created by government, and thus they cannot control or own it. Pure contract trusts come from canon law and the Bible, and they are senior to government because they're in the heir jurisdiction. So what you're doing is you're moving all of your commerce activity from the C jurisdiction to the heir jurisdiction, which we've gone over before, and I think you're tracking with that. I'm not going to draw all that out again. And here's some case law. That way you're not thinking, oh, I've lost my mind and I'm just full of shit. A pure contract trust is not subject to legislative control. The U.S. Supreme Court holds that trust relationship comes under the realm of equity based on the common law and is not subject to legislative restrictions, as are corporations and other organizations created by legislative authority. Holy fucking bleach my taint. So check it out. Let's go back to me for a moment. As I said before, creation equals ownership, right? The public realm is created by and underneath. Again, let's go back. Public versus private. Public sector organizations are owned, controlled, and managed by the government or other state-run bodies. That's your incorporated, your LLC. Get rid of all that shit. I'm at that point. I'm telling you what to do. So maybe I don't really want to do that. So I got rid of all my shit. I think it's stupid for you not to. So it's up to you if you want to get rid of all your shit or not. I'm going fully private, and I'm going to continue to work on that until it's pretty much already done. But I'm going to continue to work on that. I'm going to open a PMA and do all sorts of other cool shit. So, by the way, a little side note, if anyone needs help privatizing all of their businesses and all of their activities, that is a huge project. I'd be more than happy to help you with that for absolutely asinine sums of money. So if you would like to do that, please do contact me. I think that would be a lot of fun to learn on my end how to do all that at the same time helping someone else do that as well. So that is a huge, massive service that I would like to offer to anyone who is interested in doing all this. So a package deal with something like that on my end would be fully privatizing you, changing your status, cleaning up everything, revocation of election, getting your passport straightened out, and then after that point, we would fully privatize everything in your entire business. I would love to do like a many hundreds of millions of dollar business and just privatize the whole fucking thing. That would be so gangster, bro. So fucking gangster. So if you're interested in that, or if you know anyone who would like to do that, please have them get a hold of me. I'd be more than happy to give you a pretty hefty referral commission for something like that, because that would be a really cool thing that I would love to do for somebody. Okay, coming back to this. So what we're trying to do is move you from the public into the private, okay? As an individual, obviously, that's changing your status and doing all this. And then now we're starting to get into the commerce end of things, pulling you out of the sea jurisdiction, putting you into the air jurisdiction and the land jurisdiction. You're still going to be in the sea jurisdiction as well. It's like you have, three legs. And the biggest leg, the strongest leg, is going to be in the air jurisdiction, in the trust area. The second largest leg and the second stair piece down is going to be the land jurisdiction, which is where all your rights are and where humanity is. And then the third and last leg, least important, but you will be operating within it, is the sea jurisdiction, which is the commerce jurisdiction, etc. Right? But instead of the commerce jurisdiction fully owning and controlling you like a slave, and you being a slave to all of these things and getting fined and having people show up at your doorstep because you broke these stupid-ass statutes, it's going to be the other way around, where if they come onto your property or if they come snooping around, you can actually sue them for trespassing or lien them for trespassing. That's always fun. You really scare the fuck out of some people. If somebody comes along from the city of Los Angeles and they tell you that you and your employees need to wear a mask, and you say, "Oh, we need to wear a mask, huh?" So what gives you the authority? What contract am I involved in that gives you the authority to tell me that I have to wear a mask and my employees have to wear a mask? Yeah, that's right. Either you get the fuck out of here, or I'm going to lien you for trespassing. You've got 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. They love that shit. So that gives you an idea of the power of privatization and the power of operating a commerce-related thing in the private entirely. Now, can a PMA be structured as a trust, or how does all that work? I don't really know the answer to that question. I would say you probably should do it that way, and the reason why is because once you have your trust all set up, and you can go to these guys like, I think James C. Lovett does trust. I could be wrong, but you have the PCS 1-308. He does trusts. You have, I'm sure someone with David Straight can help you. I have a guy, he's really expensive though, who can help you put up these trusts. It's not that complicated. You don't go to a fucking lawyer to put together a decent trust. They don't have any clue about any of this shit. So you want to stay away from lawyers at all costs if you want this done correctly, okay? People think like, oh, you go to a lawyer for a trust. No. The lawyer is I would sooner rather have a crackhead who weighs 40 pounds and is sucking dick behind a dumpster to open up a trust before I would go to a fucking lawyer, generally speaking, just to be very clear on that, okay? So you kind of have to either look it up online or know someone. You can probably how to open up an express trust. I don't know if I would trust a lot of these. Open up. I want to open a pure contract trust account. You're going to open up what's called an irrevocable private pure contract trust. Irrevocable means that it can never be closed or destroyed. And then private means private versus public. And then pure contract trust means there's a lot of hit pieces on private pure contract trusts that they're illegal, that they're this, that they're that. It's all bullshit. It's all just out there to try and push you away from opening them. They are 100% legitimate. It's just that it scares all of the public organizations, the fact that someone can just literally just completely exit their jurisdiction, like I said before, through the greased open door. Very, very easy. So Elliott versus Freeman. That's the quote on that one. And then the second quote I wanted to go over is, the trustees of a trust have all the powers necessary to carry out the obligations which they assume. Their books and records are not subject to review or subpoena. That's from Smith and Morse. Smith versus Morse. Now, keep in mind, public versus private. So I'm assuming this quote from Smith versus Morse is involving private trusts, which would be a 508c1a, which would be a private membership organization, which would be a private trust. So if you opened up a 503c1 or C3, 501c3, which is the normal one you usually see, that one probably wouldn't fit this particular case law, because that one, see, if this is true, which this is from destiny508.com, I'm assuming this information is probably true. A 508c1a, financial records and board meeting minutes are not subject to public scrutiny. That would fit with this particular case law, right? But you have, unlike the 501c3, which is required to file their records with the IRS for the purpose of public scrutiny. So if you opened up a trust and labeled it in that way, it wouldn't fit within this case law. So getting someone to help you with all of this and pay for all of this is extremely, extremely valuable. This is now we're moving out here. That's why this is so kind of late. We're doing it on video 19. So all the initial videos are all like changing your status and changing things as an individual, right? And then now we're starting to expand outward in terms of, now you're all cleaned up. Now we're expanding you outward in terms of interacting with other people and going into the activity of commerce with others. That's what this is all about. So ideally, you've filed your revocation of election. You've cleaned up all your stuff. You've cleaned up all your tax stuff. You've done the passport. You've changed your driver's license. You've canceled your voter registration, just like the all the different things on the thing that we were drawing earlier in terms of what draws you into the contract. You've done all those steps that you can possibly do in your own area, change your citizenship. You've done all these things, clarified everything, learned all the terminology. Now, you can do it all at the same time with the trust if you want. I did that. I was like, fuck that. I'm doing it all at the same time. I'm just going to learn at a million miles an hour. I did the trust and everything else all at the same time. Now you're going to start to move out from that point, and you're going to start to use a trust, and you're going to start to figure it all out. You do want to find someone who can help you learn about how to operate your trust, not just open one for you and hand it to you and just disappear. That's not good. You do need to learn. It's not a lot to learn, but you do need to learn the basics of the rules and stuff like that you need to know in order to administer your trust, operate your trust, how to run the trustee beneficiary relationship. What rights do you have? What should you say? What shouldn't you say? Some people like to go and have their trust documentation publicly published. It's called, I think there's actually a process called notification of trust, something like that, where you publicly, and some people don't want to do any of that. There are different options and stuff like that in terms of what you can do with your trust. You can open up a whole bunch of trusts. There is a lot of information about breaking the veil of a trust. Generally speaking, when lawyers are able to pierce the veil of a trust, it's not a pure contract trust. It's one of the government-operated trusts, because the government-operated trusts are within the confines of, like we said, public versus private. The trusts that are run by the government are public sector trusts that are controlled and managed by the government or other state-run bodies. That's how they pierce the trust. Private sector trusts and organizations are not very easy to pierce, especially when you know your rights. So the beauty of trusts is also the asset protection aspect, right? So when you place your car and your business and all the stuff that you own into the trust, it becomes extremely difficult, if not completely impossible, to access all of those assets. So doing this is something that you can, and what's cool too is you can take your business and all of the shit that you own, and you can put it in a trust or even a series of trusts. And then when you create the trust and you file the trust, there's actually a position called successor, which is basically like if the beneficiaries die off or something happens, or if the trustees die off or whatever, then the whole trust kind of moves down to your children, right? And this is how people get away from like probate and death taxes and kind of all the taxes in relation to when you die. The government comes and takes everything from you. When you put all your money and all your shit and your business and your cars and your buildings and your real estate and even things like the rights to a book or, any of these things, and you put it all in the trust, then you protect it and it automatically goes to your children if anything were to happen to you. So all of this privatization and all of this like probate planning can all be rolled into the same activity. You can create a private membership organization and a trust over top of it. You can do a trust, and then you can structure the trust to be like in the form of a 508c1a, and then within the trust it would define what the faith is and what the purpose of the faith is. You can do all sorts of really cool things. That's an area that, again, that's a big, huge, monster fucking project that's going to cost an arm and a leg to do, and there's practically no one on the planet that would even offer a service like that. That is something of interest to me. So again, if you know of anyone who would like to do something like that, hit me up. I would love to talk to you in great length and see about maybe making a deal together. So there you go. I believe that's everything for this video. You can definitely go and study all the different trust aspects in the Black's Law 4th edition. You can look up more on a PMA. And I'm trying to think if I've covered everything here. Yeah, I think I have. This is, I was expecting this to be a little longer, but I guess not. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're good. So that's video number 19. That's trust, commerce. We're starting to move out concentrically. We're starting to move out from you as an individual, which is really cool. And I will see you guys at video number 20. Bye-bye.